Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back, everybody.
We're back.
Happy summer. Welcome
Happy
back
summer.
to What Catholic School Didn't Teach You, where we discuss the messiness and complexities of the Catholic faith and topics that we oftentimes avoid. My name is Katie,
And I'm Jillian.
and thanks for rejoining us, everyone.
Yes, I know. We had a bit of a hiatus,
Mm-hmm.
but we're back and
Little
ready
summer
to
vacay.
go. Yeah. I went to Disney for my 5-year wedding anniversary. Um,
5 years, dang,
I know. Isn't that wild? I can't believe
it's
it's been
crazy.
5 years. And we had the best time. It was super fun, very hot. I always forget that. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine in Florida in June.
No,
False.
no.
It is so hot. It is ridiculous. But we really wanted to be chiller this trip and like not like we didn't rope drop and then stay to the end, like till park closed like normal
What does
human.
rope drop mean? Oh, like park opening.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry for the Disney
I
adult
was like,
lingo.
is this a
Uh,
sailing term? Are you a
not
seaman now?
quite, not quite. But so that was it was fun. We did a lot of like fur because my husband has been going there since before he was born, and like at least once, if not twice, a year for years. So like I didn't think there was much that he hadn't done, but there was a lot of things he hadn't done. So and we did a lot of like we stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge for the first time, which was really fun. We had a savannah view so we can see the animals from our room, which was super cool. And we went with the coolest thing that we did probably ever in Disney in our whole lives. We'll probably never do it again because it was a little expensive. But we went to a restaurant called Victoria and Albert's, which is a the first, fun fact, first ever Michelin star restaurant that
Hmm,
is in a theme park. Um,
fascinating.
yes, and it was incredible. The best food I ever had. It
Yeah.
was like a million courses, and I was like keeled over by the end, but it was so good. It was wild. The coolest thing ever. And then even funner fact, Katie's mom went there for her anniversary too. So we were like talking back and forth during the whole Disney trip. It was so fun.
Which anniversary? I would imagine
Oh, wait, hold
I'm
on. I
like
have to
doing the
check.
math of like when they went to, because they brought my brothers to Disney well before I was born. But I think that would have been like nine, 9 years,
Um,
10 years.
I think it was
Is it 10
10.
years?
I
Nailed it.
believe so.
I nailed it.
Hold on. I think
Well,
so.
Tim was a baby, so that would have been 91. They got married
Yeah,
in 81. So
10,
yeah.
yeah, 91.
So
They
yeah.
went there at the same restaurant
Boom.
for their 10th anniversary. I'm like,
It's
that
called
I
knowing your
knew I
family
loved
more.
you.
All right.
We were chatting it up the whole on Instagram
What was your
back
favorite
and
thing you
forth.
ate?
Oh, they had this like well, I think like the coolest thing was they had this one dish that was the whole thing was made out of cucumbers, but it was like in 15 different ways. Like there was like little like it looked like a boba pearl, but they were like cucumber boba pearls, and then it was like a
Ooh,
cucumber like sauce and like a cucumber little boat thing with like cucumber other I don't know what it was, but the whole thing was made out of cucumber and it was the coolest thing
like a
ever.
cucumber gazpacho, boba gazpacho?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, it was nuts. And then we had Wagyu beef, and that was just that in of
Mm.
itself was just
Mwah.
insane. But like all these, there was I think 15 courses, but they're all like the size, like small.
Oh,
So like you don't get like a big plate of anything. You get like a taste of like 15 different things, but
wow.
you're full by the end.
Yeah, no,
We
absolutely.
did the chef like the
Well, yeah,
chef's taste
15
as many.
cookies. That's pretty filling, right? Like that's you just showed me a cookie size.
Yeah, yeah. So it was very fun. It was very, very fun. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Jill, what do you call the animals that live in the savannah that are black and white stripes?
Oh, the zebras.
Is that how you actually pronounce zebra? Or are you just being a goof?
Well, like I call them zebras. We were staying in the zebra wing and
You
there
are
were
so
and
you
no
guys
zebras came to
you
my
sent
window,
so
so I
many
was so
videos.
upset.
You sent so many videos of zebras. What are you talking about? You sent
Yeah,
so
but they
many
weren't at
videos
my
and you said the
window.
word zebra like 13 times. And I was like, is she speaking another like is this how she pronounced? Is this how they say zebra in Long Island? Like is this how Bayshore says zebra? I just didn't know about?
No, it's just me.
Okay, so it's
Oh,
just you
but
being a
I did
goof.
see giraffes. That was fun. And there was a little baby giraffe. It was
That's
very,
cool.
very cute. Yeah. What were you up to in our hiatus?
What wasn't I up to? We took a 3 week sojourn
Yeah.
down I-75. Um, we started in Ithaca, New York, where we live. Um, we drove down to just outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, Norris Lake, Tennessee, and we spent a week there with Jake's um, parents and his sister and his grandmother who has a house down there, and our family friends and their two little ones. So we spent a week there with Kit. That was a long drive. We stayed overnight doing that drive in Columbus, Ohio with my brother and his wife, not my wife, his wife. And um, so that was really nice. And then we drove from there. We made our way up to um, my hometown in Ohio, Northwest Ohio. But we stopped in Louisville, Kentucky for a good friend's wedding. For the weekend. So that was nice. My friend Faith got married. Congrats, Faith and Evan.
Mm.
Um, so we did a wedding there, and then we stopped in Dayton, Ohio, because go Flyers. I went to University of Dayton, and I wanted to show Jake the campus. He'd never been, and his mom is from Dayton. And when she was with us, she helped us take care of the baby for the wedding. So we stopped there and saw the chapel and the campus and all that stuff. And then we drove home to my parents' house. We spent a week there with my parents. Saw some of my friends, had my friend's baby shower, and then from there we went to just outside of Adrian, Michigan, which is like 45 minutes from my parents' house, and we went to Devil's Lake, Michigan, and spent a week there with my family and our good family friends slash like my best friends and cousins and not really cousins, but kind of cousins. And we were there for a week and then we drove home. So we were all over the map. It was a great 3 weeks. I'm so glad we did it. I don't know we'll ever do it like that again because 3 weeks is a long time
Yeah.
to be on the road. And Kit was a trooper. Like really,
Oh.
she was great. She slept most of the car rides. Um, she was totally fine. And I did kind of feel bad because like we were only in one place for a week and then we'd move. So like just as she'd be getting like the rhythm down and being like, okay,
Oh.
like I'm comfortable sleeping here, like we're good to go, we'd move. And so poor kid couldn't catch a break, but she was great and she was a trooper and she is a fish. This kid loves to swim. We were in the water all day, every day with her, at both lakes. And like even when we were home, our neighbors have a pool. At my parents' house, my parents' neighbors have a pool. So we were in and out of the pool. She's just the happiest little girl in the water. She's thrilled. Um, Even today, I was
Oh.
filling up the bathtub and she was like jumping out of my arms to get into it. I was like, you gotta wait. Like it's
Oh.
too shallow. But
Oh,
it was
so
great. It
cute.
was really, really great. It was really fun. And we've been home for a week-ish.
That's wonderful.
Very happy to be
A little
home.
over a week. Yeah.
Um,
I know I kept seeing your location. I was like, where the heck is she
and we were
now?
all very happy to see our beds. Never in one place for too
No.
long,
Yeah.
apparently. But we're home for a little while, and then we have some like weekend things for the rest of the summer, including seeing you and our other friends.
Yay.
But nothing like that.
Yeah. No three
Probably,
weekers.
probably ever again. 3 weeks is so long. You know, we were kids, we used to do 3 weeks all the time. Like my parents would take us back home to Boston for 3 weeks at a time. We'd be on the Cape for 3 weeks at a time. And as a
You're also
kid,
in
it
one
was
spot.
fine. That's true. We were in one spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, as an adult,
Yeah.
3 weeks is a long time. But a lot happened in this
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. Sure did.
Um, just in the world in general,
I know.
not just our world.
Yeah. It kept spinning, that's for sure. Sure did.
So should we dive into it?
I guess so.
Okay. So today we are talking about it's a um little behind, but we're
Hmm.
talking about the big beautiful bill. But mostly we're not really going to spend too much time on that. It's passed. It's a law. There's nothing we're going to do about that. Mostly, we're going to be talking about the United States Council of Catholic Bishops' response
Mhm.
to the bill. Why are we talking about it? I know this happened, you know, 2 weeks ago now. This was passed. So why are we still talking about it? Because it's still a law and it still deserves our attention and thought.
Mhm.
And, I think we get really caught up in this 24 hours news cycle where it's like, oh, okay, moving on.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's important to linger on this for a little bit longer than we have.
Mhm.
So before we talk about the letter, let's talk about what the bill is. And we're just gonna give a brief overview. Brief, like super brief. We are not economists. We are not
No,
politicians.
not even a little.
We don't even pretend to be.
No,
Um,
proud
but
not to be.
we tried really hard not to be. And well, not that hard. I'm not that great at it. So it's a Senate bill. They call it a mega bill. Again, I'm not an economist. I don't know if that's a real thing. But it's a Senate bill that focuses on tax and spending policies. It prioritizes tax breaks for the wealthiest and the wealthy. It increases taxes on the middle class, specifically the working poor. And there have been, in this bill, there are steep cuts to Medicaid, there are steep cuts to food stamps, um, increased spending on defense and on the Border Patrol, and it increases the national debt by trillions, by a number I didn't know existed. This bill, by the way, was like over 900 pages long. I don't know if people have heard that. It's one of the longest bills that have ever been introduced to the Senate or the House of Representatives. And not everybody read it. Again,
How is that allowed? I
not
mean,
everybody who voted on this bill read the whole bill.
I mean, let's get real. I'm a culprit. I am the leader of not reading things I'm supposed to and saying that I did. Okay.
Jill was angry that this letter was 9 pages, okay?
They wanted
A direct quote from Jill, is there an audio version of these 9 pages?
was there an audio version of the bill? Because there should have been, because that's insane.
No,
That it's a
because that would require that
novel.
somebody read the whole thing, and I don't think anybody has, because
Oh
it's
my
so steep.
gosh.
So a lot of people didn't know exactly, and that's not an excuse. That's just to, I don't know. You make of that as you will. I have my thoughts about why it was that long. You make your thoughts. You form your own
Maybe
thoughts.
they did what I did in school and read like the first they that's my thing. You read a couple of the first pages, a couple of the middle, a couple of the end, and you know it all. So maybe
Get a
that's
couple talking
flawed.
points,
Yep.
couple quotes,
Yep. And
bring it
call it
back
a
to the
day.
professor. A
So maybe
plus.
that's why I said I'm not a politician. I'm not making rules. I was just trying to pass class. So a little different.
So the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops, USCCB, we're going to be calling them that from now on, came out with a letter. And I was, I'm not going to lie, a little bit worried. I have my own thoughts on this bill. I think it's pretty unjust. I think it's heavily favors the wealthiest. It's not even my thought. It's just a fact. It gives tax cuts to the billionaires in this country, and it increases taxes on the working poor, um, cuts to Medicaid, millions of Americans rely on, cuts to food stamps, millions of Americans rely on. And that's just a fact. And so the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops responded. They have a letter. We're going to talk about the letter because it's not exact. It doesn't say exactly what you think it was. Also, they may have read the whole thing because I didn't know that some of the things they're talking about were in the bill.
So how did you read the bill at all? Any part of it?
I read like, yeah, the first look. I'm also not a reader. Okay, that's
No, I'm not. I was not trying to like trap you or anything. I
Jill
didn't
and
read
I.
I didn't even do my half-C read. I
I
didn't do any of it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Jill and I became friends in grad school mainly because neither of us were doing the reading.
Yeah. If anyone from BC is listening, we're just joking.
Just kidding. I did most of the reading. No, they're gone now. No, I didn't. Uh, but I tried. But it's also just like a lot of legalese, a lot of political jargon. It's not written for
Yeah.
the lay person. So on June 26th, the senator came out. Dear Senator, on January 13th, we wrote to offer principles we hoped would shape the budget reconciliation. On May 20th, we wrote to offer a comprehensive analysis of the House version of the quote, One Big Beautiful Bill Act, end quote. In advance of the Senate's consideration of this package, we write to offer our perspective on how this bill impacts the common good. Pope Leo XIV recently spoke to legislators on their responsibility to the common good. He said, quote, this would mean, for example, working to overcome the unacceptable disproportion between the immense wealth concentrated in the hands of a few and the world's poor. Those who live in extreme conditions cry out to make their voices heard, and often find no ears willing to hear their plea. This imbalance generates situations of persistent injustice, which readily lead to violence and sooner or later to the tragedy of war. Sound politics, on the other hand, by promoting both the equitable distribution of resources, can offer an effective service to harmony and peace both domestically and internationally. End quote. We are grateful for the provisions that promote the dignity of human life and support of parental choice in education. These are commendable provisions that have long been sought after by the Church. However, we must also urge you to make drastic changes to the provisions that will harm the poor and vulnerable. This bill raises taxes on the working poor while simultaneously giving large tax cuts to the wealthiest. Because of this, millions of poor families will not be able to afford life-saving health care and will struggle to buy food for their children. Some rural hospitals will likely close. Cuts will also result in the harming of our environment. Furthermore, the Senate proposal continues to promote an enforcement-only approach to immigration that is unjust and fiscally unsustainable. The bill would erode access to legal processes, including life-saving humanitarian protections, while paving the way for families and children to become the focus of unmitigated enforcement efforts. We implore Congress to rectify these aspects of the bill before moving forward and to keep in mind the following principles. So they go on to list a bunch of principles, and we'll break those down. But um, I want to talk about these opening paragraphs. Like I said, was a little worried when I heard that the Catholic Church came out with a letter, has a letter on this. Because I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure where this was gonna go. But I am proud that the letter calls out in blatant terms exactly what the bill is doing, which is taking food and healthcare away from the most vulnerable, away from the most needy, away from the not even just the poor, the middle class, in order to give tax breaks to the billionaires. And I'm really not trying to instigate anything. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm not trying to guilt anybody, but I don't know how to justify tax breaks for billionaires using the gospel. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
You can't. More importantly, you can't justify taking away resources from the least of us, right? That's literally the point of the gospel.
Right.
You know, whatever you did for the least of my brothers, you did for me. That is a direct quote from
Yeah.
our God. So to say this is a pro-life bill because it takes away funding for some abortion clinics is a lie in my eyes.
Yeah. And it's hard because, I mean, I can save this whole thing for when we go into the points of everything, but there's so many things when it comes to like SNAP and like all these other aids that yes, a lot of it was not allocated correctly
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of misuse of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of correcting it, we're just cutting it.
Yeah.
And the people that truly rely on this
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that are going to suffer for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, kills me. This kills me.
And the cut of Medicaid, like
Hmm.
we're gonna have a whole generation of unhoused grandparents
Yeah.
because how many people rely on Medicaid for their nursing home, for their hospice care? And that's just one generation. That doesn't even take into account the people who, break a leg and now can't go to the hospital because their insurance won't cover it.
Hmm.
I also was very impressed and I guess relieved. This last introductory paragraph that talks about the enforcement only approach to immigration. I don't really have words for what's happening in this country outside of illegal kidnappings because that's what it is. Wrong, unjust, illegal, all those words. To see the Catholic Church, to see the way that the Catholic Church has stood up against that brings me, I hope, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not quite the word. I don't know. But like to
Yeah.
see, bishops who are accompanying people to court, priests and bishops who are marching, who are opening the doors of the churches, who are just hanging around ICE facilities and courthouses to make sure that they are there.
Yeah.
Not even to fight or anything, but just to bear witness, I think has proven to be effective and positive.
Also, I just thought of, I remember seeing over the, like last week, that Father James Martin posted about how the Diocese of San Bernardino, the bishop granted a dispensation from people for their obligation to go to Mass on Sundays if they did not feel safe to leave their
Mm.
house. Like that's where we're at.
That's where we're at. Yeah. That's where we're at. But the fact that just I don't know, we did a whole episode on the Catholic Church and fascism,
Hmm.
and we talked about the Catholic Church's history with Mussolini in particular, and how we just kind of bowed down to Mussolini for a long time until it was a little too late. And I'm hopeful and heartened to know that that's not what we're doing now.
Hmm.
We're not just bowing down, we're not just backing off. People are showing up. People are bishops, priests, sisters are showing up in support of the innocent. Want to go into breaking down some of these categories?
Sure.
Okay, so they talk about the principles that the USCCB hoped that the Senate would keep in mind as they talk this bill over and continue to make amendments. So the
Yeah.
first is protect human life and dignity is the first principle. And they are strongly encouraging the end of taxpayer subsidization of major abortion and gender transition providers such as Planned Parenthood. And that is in the bill a little bit. Say what you will about the bill. I stand by what I said before. This bill is not pro-life, period. Just because this bill takes away some funding toward Planned Parenthood, I hesitate when I hear Catholics talking about how this bill is pro-life, though, because of this, because it does take away some funding from Planned Parenthood and gender-affirming surgeries, stuff like that. Um, I would not call it pro-life just because of that. Principle number two is care for the poor.
Hmm.
And this is important. The Senate bill contains several identical tax provisions as the House bill that, according to nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation and the Congressional Budget Office, will raise the taxes of the working poor while giving a large tax cut to the wealthy. And according to the Congressional Budget Office, the bottom 10% will lose $1,600, while the top 10% will gain on average $12,000.
That's wild.
Insanity. The bill cuts Medicaid and SNAP and fails to renew um, the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits. The Congressional Budget Office found that the House bill combined with the Affordable Care Act marketplace changes will cause more than 16 million people to lose their health insurance. 16 million Americans will lose their health insurance. The changes to SNAP will cause millions of people to go hungry. These provisions are unconscionable and unacceptable. 16 million. If you call yourself a pro-life Catholic. This is where you really have to stop and analyze and ask yourself, am I pro-life or am I pro-birth?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't tell women that they need to get pregnant and they need to have babies and then take their health insurance away for them to have a safe delivery in a hospital with
Mm-hmm.
doctors and
Yeah.
nurses and midwives and
Yeah.
doulas and whoever they need to have there.
Yeah. And not go into thousands of dollars in debt because of it.
Right. I mean, we had pretty good health insurance. We're still paying, we sat down today, we're still paying for a kid's birth. And
Yeah.
like it's only been 6 months, it's not been that long. But like it's very expensive
Mm-hmm.
to give birth.
They literally like you breathe and they charge you. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Doctor's appointments. But you can't go to the doctor now because you
Yeah.
don't have health insurance. So you can't go
Mhm.
and you can't afford to feed yourself the
Yeah.
food that you need to feed yourself because you don't have SNAP anymore.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how many people I have heard call this a pro-life bill. It is not. It
Yeah.
might be pro-birth, but it is not pro-life. And like that, this in and of itself, the bottom 10% will lose $1,600, while the top 10% will gain on average $12,000.
Like
It's easier for a
if
camel to enter the eye of the needle. Like,
like that losing 1600, like that's like of the amount of rent. That's like literally taking
that is
away
rent.
rent.
Mm-hmm.
And like if they gained 12,000, that would be life changing.
Mm-hmm. And it'd be great for the economy, by the way.
Like
But they're
huh.
not worried about that.
I just like I don't understand.
So
I don't
again, I encourage you to really look inward. Are you pro-life or are you pro-birth? Because if you're
know.
pro-life, this should outrage you.
Yeah.
And that's not just my opinion.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
And this is like another, I mean, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, and we could save this for the end, but I feel like this is really going to require a real, like a call to action
Mm-hmm.
for all of us to truly love your neighbor
Mm-hmm.
and start really thinking about ways that we can help other people
Absolutely.
once this like really comes into full swing,
Mm-hmm.
because the amount of pain that we're going to see, we're already seeing it.
We're already seeing it.
Like it's gonna be even more. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what are we gonna do about it? Because clearly they're not doing anything about it. So what are we gonna do about it?
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in that's like the one of the flip sides that could potentially be positive about when things hit the fan and it's
Mm-hmm.
really bad, is seeing the people that actually stayed and help, the people that are trying to make things better and kind of renews your faith in humanity.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to those moments and
Yeah.
the ways that people are going to step up for each other. Because we're gonna have to, otherwise we're all in
We're
trouble.
gonna have to. We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
So a couple more of the, we're not gonna go into every single principle because there are a lot, but the
Yeah.
next one, the one after care for the poor, they talk about family formation and strengthening. Um,
Hmm.
Families will modestly benefit from the quote unquote Trump accounts, a refundable adoption tax credit, paid leave
Hmm.
incentives for employers, child care support provisions in the bill. However, because refundability remains the same, the small expansion of the child tax credit will only help middle and high income families, leaving behind the lowest income children. So, once again, next one they talk about adequate revenue for the sake of the common good and avoiding future cuts to poverty programs. They're talking about, you know, just more cuts. Progressivity of the tax code. They talk about incentivizing charitable giving and development, supporting parental choice and education.
Which I
Next,
think is really funny. Sorry, I just have to bring this up because
no, yeah.
I was just talking about this to Rich the on Saturday or on Sunday when my friend Amanda was also over, and we got our bill in the mail for school tax
Hmm.
for the year.
Hmm.
And so, um, the fact that, I mean, it's like $7,000 a year just for school tax that we have no children in.
Dang.
And so,
It's a lot
like,
of money, but
a
good
lot of
schools.
money. Yeah. And, but just like, I mean, the support for, having the choice in education. But
Hmm.
it's like really difficult, especially when you're looking at Catholic schools. Like that doesn't go to Catholic schools. So like if you want to send your
No.
child to a Catholic school, you're paying the 7 grand a year for schools you'll never send your children to, on top of the tuition that goes into Catholic schools.
Right.
So like what's going to even happen to Catholic schools in general? It's going to continue to be for those who can afford it. And it's like,
Exactly.
it's really difficult. I know this is kind of more saying about like having scholarships, which is really important, but also making sure that when you, like that was like the one pet peeve that I saw a
Mm.
lot when it comes to kids on scholarships going to schools from low income families,
Hmm.
mainly those who may not, their families may not speak English as
Hmm.
their first language or may not have the money to get the supplies that are needed. It's not enough to just get the scholarship. You
Mm-mm.
need to also be able to journey with that student, whether that's sending home material that is in their native language that they could actually understand and know what's going on. And, they might not have the money for the iPad or whatever it is that the kids use. We need to also help them with the uniforms, with all
Yeah.
these things. It's not enough to just say, "Oh, look, we did this with
Lunch,
scholarship." Yes,
which was also
lunch.
cut.
Yes, like all these things. It's not enough to say like, "Oh, look, it's Chinese scholarship and low-income students are coming here." We need to help them thrive.
Yep.
If you're not going to help them thrive, then what's the point?
There
What's
is
the
none.
point?
Yeah. No, there is none.
Sorry, I have just that one really
No,
really
that
gets me.
I totally get that. I mean, like we said, they cut funding for lunch programs for students. So it's like, what good is the scholarship if they can't eat? You can't
Mm.
learn on an empty brain.
Yeah.
Agreed. The next one is inclusion of immigrant and mixed status families. They say, as provided, the unprecedented increase in funding for immigration enforcement and detention would
Mm.
disproportionately impact immigrant and mixed status families with strong ties to the American community. Attempts to offset this funding with punitive fees, including those that prevent children from reunifying with their family, are counterproductive and undermine the integrity of our legal immigration system. As a nation, owing much of its past, present, and future prosperity to the enduring contributions of immigrants, we can and must do better to welcome, protect, promote, and integrate these members into our society. The fact that they came out at all and said that, I'm
Hmm.
very pleased.
Yeah.
Um, I think they could have come out on a little harder line of calling it what it is, which is the illegal deportation and kidnapping of men, women, and children, simply because they aren't white.
I don't know if you saw a video a couple weeks. I don't know. I have no concept of time in the summer. But there was, I think a couple weeks ago, there was someone, I don't know if they were in Congress or like it was someone pretty high up that ICE was like literally detaining, and he was like, "I'm not your guy."
Yeah, so it was Representative Alex Padilla. He was trying to talk to Kristi Noem. She was holding a conference, and yeah, he was arrested for, I don't know, speaking, which is ridiculous. He was released, but still, like the fact that anybody who just has the audacity to ask a question in the land of the free is arrested is alarming, to say the least. So yeah, I'm happy that the Catholic Church has come out against what's happening. Also worth saying, if we're out here saying, you know, they're only taking the immigrants who are illegal. Okay, well, the Constitution actually does protect them still. They still have constitutional rights. If we're out here saying they're only out here arresting immigrants or people who have an arrest record, um, it's worth noting that 72% of the people detained currently have no criminal convictions. And
Mm.
that's of 3 days ago. So that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Um, and also, let's call it what it is. They've built a concentration camp in
Mm.
or an internment camp at the very least in Florida. So I wish that they had named, I don't think the internment camp had been built yet when this letter came out. This was June 26th. But the fact that they came out at all and spoke to their human dignity, huge.
Yeah.
They go on to talk about energy and the environment. There was a $500 billion cut to clean energy incentives and a repeal of environmental programs and energy efficient loans, which is going to have lasting impacts.
Yeah.
But, now
Mm.
I'm tired. So, they have an appendix that has a bunch of explanations on it. I would highly encourage you to look it up. You can Google the budget reconciliation letter to the Senate
Yeah.
PDF. Read it through yourself. Let me know what you think.
Mhm. And we
Um,
can link all these things
yeah, and
in
we'll
the.
link it too. Why are we talking about it? Because we need to. And just because it's been passed and is law now
Hmm.
doesn't mean we can just move past it.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if we're Catholic. And like Jill said, I think you're absolutely right. Now is the time where we need to love our neighbor ferociously.
If anything, I think that's what we can take away from this is that, you know, if maybe hear all this and you still think this is a pro-life bill or wherever you stand on anything, I hope your actions, hopefully, please, need to reflect what you're saying.
Mhm,
And if you are claiming these things, then, you know, donate your time, donate your resources, donate yourself, donate your expert, your gifts to organizations that are helping people, that
mhm,
are helping women and children, that are helping the elderly, that are helping people that are struggling to put food on the table in some way, because they're going to need it now more than ever.
mhm,
And even like nothing really even to do with this bill, but also the other thing that's really been happening right now is all the floods and in Texas, and there was one in Jersey over the weekend. Like
awful.
the devastate and it's I know it's hurricane season in Florida, so who knows what's going to be coming there. Like these hurricane seasons are just starting now in places.
Mhm.
There's just so many things. We just need to help each other.
Yeah. So sorry, guys. This was a little bit of a dark
Yeah.
episode for our first one back,
Right.
but
I feel like we did this the last time too.
we had to. We had to. We can't. I
Yeah.
couldn't. Whatever.
Yeah. We couldn't
Uh,
say that we're a podcast that talks about messiness and complexities,
yeah, exactly.
if we're not
Sometimes
talking
it's
about it.
dark.
Yeah.
Jill, what's one good thing you're looking forward to this week?
I'm going to Long Island this weekend to see my family just
Yay!
because. So I'm very excited about that.
That'll be awesome.
What about you, Katie?
We have um like a little group of parents that we've kind of formed.
Cute.
And so we're hanging out with all of them on Saturday. We're gonna get all meet up at a brewery and get a drink, and the babies are gonna play, and it's gonna be fun. So
Nice.
I'm very much looking forward to that.
That's exciting.
To close us out, we have a prayer for the courage to do justice. Now I'm like 87% sure that we've said this prayer before, but it's a great prayer, and I'm pretty sure every time we say this prayer, I say, I'm pretty sure we've said this prayer before, but it's a great prayer. Um, so it's by Alan Patton. And it's for the courage to do justice, I think is appropriate. So,
Mhm.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Amen. O Lord, open my eyes that I may see the needs of others. Open my ears that I may hear their cries. Open my heart so that they need not be without succor. Let me not be afraid to defend the weak because of the anger of the strong, nor afraid to defend the poor because of the anger of the rich. Show me where love and hope and faith are needed, and use me to bring them to those places. And so open my eyes and my ears, that I may this coming day be able to do some work of peace for thee. Amen. Father, Son.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us. We're gonna do something light next week.
Yes.
Hopefully. And in the meantime, follow us on Instagram at Catholic School Didn't Teach You _pod. You can send us an email at Catholic School Guilt. Remember when we said we were gonna like come up with all these like fun new surprises to do while in the month we
Yeah.
were off? Um,
Oopsie.
whoops. Sorry, guys. We
Uh,
we straight up forgot. I'm not gonna lie
yeah.
to
Yeah.
you. Not even one of us texted another to be like, "Do we want to do this still?" Straight up forgot until this moment. So
Yeah.
anyway, follow us, send us an email. We would love to answer your questions. So if you have a question or a thought or a story, we'd love to hear from you at our email, catholicschoolguilt@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.
Yes, you will.
All right, team.
Bye.
Make good choices. Wait, that's your
Make
line.
it's okay.
That
Still make
was
good choices.
okay. Bye.